Welcome, everybody. Welcome into the Triple Play Fantasy Baseball Show, coming at you on a Thursday evening on August 19th, 2021. Of course, you know D-Mendy02 in the building, joined, of course, by the Doc at Triple Play Fantasy. He has a blanket on, so I don't know what he's doing. It's kind of a weird fashion statement.
It's cold in my house, okay?
Turn off the AC. It's you shouldn't be cold. It's this August.
I tell that to people that love the frigid temperature.
Well, I guess you're calling out your roommates without saying their names, which is respectable. But
Of course.
Who cares about you, of course, because we've got a special guest that I'd love to introduce. And he's a friend of the show, and I have to introduce him the proper way as he's accustomed to on here on these programs. We welcome in a man that remains central to you winning your fantasy league. A contributor for New Life Fantasy, Fantrax, NBC Sports Edge, and Rotoranks. This man is a busy bee. And you could also say a night owl as he's spitting out hashtag Micah notes every single night, rain or shine. A friend of Triple Play Fantasy, having been on a bunch of different programs. I think it's like been 3 or 4 different things on this channel.
Yeah.
It is Micah Henry. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? Yes, it's been, we did the football DFS show back last year. We did, several, guest appearances. It's been a lot of different appearances. So I appreciate you having me on again.
Yeah, of course, man. I think you started out with you did a baseball mock with us a year ago.
Yep, there you go.
We did the DFS shows. We did a couple baseball videos for the YouTube, and then now like one time where you're just the guest on the baseball pod. Yeah, like you're a veteran around these parts.
Yeah, I've been here a lot, man. It's always nice. I love the intro. I love everything about the show.
You're a Marwin Gonzalez. You've played a lot of different positions.
I love it, man. All over the diamond. And Doc, I did want to say though, I connect with you there with this blanket. I do the same thing. That central air is no joke, man. It gets cold sometimes. I gotta put it on. So
I
know where you're coming from.
You're on my side without bad.
Yeah, I know you're coming.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it looks comfortable, but I always just stick to my t-shirts. But I guess I respect it. I respect it because Micah does it now. So, but we got an awesome show planned for today. If everybody didn't see the awesome background that our guy Toby Z2 Fantasy does, we're talking about an old man's game today. So, let's face it, guys. It's I know it's kind of cliche, but these old timers, they've continued to be doing big things this year. Mm-hmm. And my question to you guys, as we finish out the last 5 weeks of 2021. Are these vets going to continue what they've been doing going into 2022 and beyond? Obviously, we're going to look at some changes they may have made in their profiles to their games to maybe as they've aged to accommodate for the changes in the game. Without further ado, I want to jump into these guys because we've got 9 players to get through here, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on them. So let's first start out with Nelson Cruz, who's the definition of an ageless wonder, right? Nelson Cruz is 41 years of age, played 17 years in the big leagues. So far, and these stats were as of Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning. I did not have Wednesday night stats added in here, so just take one game off of each of these guys. But it was a 273, 347, 528 slash with an 874 OPS, has 26 homers and 66 RBIs, even has 3 stolen bases. So my question to you, Micah, is this somebody that's going to just keep producing until he does a David Ortiz and retires more because of injuries than production?
I think so. I think it's going to be, you know what? I wouldn't even be surprised if he threw it on us this offseason, just out of nowhere, as you said, pull a David Ortiz, have a great season, then in offseason you just retire, just to go off on that high note. The Twins didn't have a great season this year, not much to celebrate in regards to actual context of playing in the game of, in the MLB. So, I mean, he's probably like, you know what, maybe I'll just go off on the high note. So we'll see. But I mean, he'll probably be productive for as long as he continues to play. But yeah, he's a special talent for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's continually produced year after year. Doc, what are your thoughts about?
Yeah. Well, first of all, this is the guy that hit the most home runs in the 2010 decade. Now he's probably not going to hit 40 plus, which we saw in the 2015, 2016, 2017 seasons. But he is 26 right now, so I figure he'll probably hit at least 30 this year, probably closer to that 35 range. His launch angle is up from last year. He actually has the second highest hard hit percentage of his career since 2015. And you look at him, he's just a big guy. He's 6'2", 230. So even if that hard hit percentage or the launch angle goes down, he's a big guy and can drive the ball. The fact that he plays DH every day means that he doesn't have the wear and tear on his body from fielding. I think he could go the David Ortiz route. I don't see him retiring this year just because he's so fun to watch and still has a lot left in the tank. So I would definitely take him next year.
Yeah, I think some interesting things just looking also is his strikeout rate is the lowest it's been, since 2010.
Wow.
He's 20.5% strikeout rate for somebody of his caliber. He did have a 20.6% strikeout rate with Seattle in 2018, but again, that strikeout rate is really good for a power hitter of his caliber. His walk rate, while it's down a little bit from the last few seasons, still respectable, 9.5%. Obviously, still has the power there. Still has a pretty decent average WRC plus of 133, which lines up to what he did not the last few years, but before that. I mean, he again just looks like an ageless wonder. It looks like he's somebody that's he knows the strike zone well, and I'm very impressed when you look into his profile. Somebody that I think we're all expecting potentially a David Ortiz type of route.
His game is ageless, but let me tell you, I actually looked at a picture of him yesterday. Man, does he look old.
Compared to what he used to look like?
Yeah, like there's gray in his beard. He has wrinkles. He looks tired. Like he is physically aged. His game has not.
Well, why don't you tell him that to his face?
If I ever have the chance to, I will.
Then I'll make sure I set the arrangements for your funeral.
Okay, that's all I ask.
All right, well, let's move from someone that's a certain as a hitter to maybe someone that's a little also certain as a pitcher, someone that's an ageless wonder. That's Adam Wainwright, who is 39 years of age, 16-year career. He's 11-7 with a 3.26 ERA, and he's pitched 154.2 innings this year with 141 strikeouts. So he's got under a K per 9, which obviously for fantasy isn't exactly what we like to hear. Some interesting things, though, if you look into his profile. He's got a 2.86 career home ERA compared to a 3.97 road ERA. So he's got over a run higher on the road. And that's carried over to this year to a 2.79 home ERA and a 4.12 road ERA this year. He also has a 3.38 career ERA for first and second half. So the exact same ERA in the first and second half in his career. Seems when you go into his profile, he goes a lot more off speed and different type stuff other than the fastball now as he's aged and he's lost velocity. Micah, when you look at Adam Wainwright, is this somebody that you think can just keep on pitching? He's got that rubber arm. What do you see in his profile?
I just see him. He's still that same guy that, that he was like, that made him such a good pitcher, for so long. That guy that can sequence his pitches, that can knows how to, attack certain hitters, attack left-hand hitters, right-hand hitters, just a guy that knows how to pitch in general. Always had that, he always had that strong pitchability, as they like to call it. So, I mean, what he's doing this season is not, most people didn't see it coming, but I understand it. I get it just because of how good he's been his entire career,
Yeah, no, I mean, he's been a staple in that rotation for the Cardinals for so long. Drafted in 2000. Doc, when you look at Adam Wainwright, what do you see?
So I think he's actually going to tail off next year, and it's not because he burned me in TGFBI as soon as I dropped him. He did well. But I look a little bit more into the metrics, and his ERA has actually been much lower than his expected ERA the past 3 seasons. In 2019, 4.19 ERA compared to 4.63 expected. 2020, it was 3.15. Expected was 4.52. And 2021 was 3.26, and it's expected 4.02. So he's gotten considerably lucky. And now, obviously, this year is Nolan Aronado, who's a great defender. Paul Goldschmidt is a solid first baseman as well. But I look at, he's prone to bad outings and stretches. So we talk about the beginning of this year. He had 5+ earned runs in 3 out of his 8 first outings. And right now he's at 154.2 innings pitched. The most he's had since 2016 is 171.1. So he's probably going to pass that. So I'd be interested to see how he's pitching next year after coming off a year where he's thrown the most innings pitched in the last 5 years. I think he will be somewhat effective if he chooses to not retire, but I think we're going to see his ERA probably closer to that 4s where it's expected to be rather than how he's gotten lucky.
Well, now I will say looking at expected ERA isn't always what I like to look at. I like to look at xFIP and FIP a little bit more. When you look at his expected ERA, you can compare him to somebody like Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks has pitched way lower than his expected ERA his entire career. You look back since 2016, he's outpitched his expected ERA every single season. So there are just some players that doesn't necessarily always line up with what their expected ERA is just because they get a bunch of low quality of contact and they're able to work the zone a lot better, and they're able to get a lot of ground balls. And that's kind of what Hendricks has been doing. Wainwright, I think, kind of falls in that same boat. He's been outperforming his expected ERA, but when it happens this consistently, I don't think it's a fluke. I think it's something that he just has a gift and a natural tendency to be able to do with hitters, and has that low quality of contact. If you look, his weak contact percentage is 2.7% this year, with major league average being 3.7%. So he's actually pitched under the major league average 3 of the last 4 years. So I think that's what ties in. He also has an above average ground ball percentage. And again, we look at also just for most recent seasons, that curveball has been the main part of his pitch arsenal since 2018. The curveball, the sinker, with a cutter mix in, a four-seamer isn't utilized nearly as much as these other pitches. So I think that going that off-speed approach has really worked well for him, kind of keeping hitters off balance. So I'm more confident in Adam Wainwright doing this longer and more consistently. Those metrics don't scare me when I look into his profile, and I think he's somebody that you can trust. You can get what you're going to get with him. He's somebody that's in a 15-team league, he's going to be somebody you're probably going to grab at the end of your drafts. 12-team league, you get him a little sooner, but he'll be somebody that should, at the end of the season, give you 10 to 15 wins and give you a mid to high 3s ERA. That's, I think, what you can expect from him.
Yeah, and I just want to say a lot of these pitchers, these older pitchers, seem to just understand that you have to throw strikes at the end of the day. So like they'll throw you a 90-mile-per-hour fastball down the middle and see if you can hit it. Sometimes you might pop it up, sometimes you might hit it for a home run, but they understand that at that point, at this point in their career, they have to take these chances. So having that that no fear mentality kind of just helps them sometimes have these lucky outings that they shouldn't have, but they do have because they're kind of like pitching fearlessly. You know what I mean?
Right. I also want to say in the comments, always appreciate the love. Thank you so much for watching that video. QB1 right there. I know this is not a football podcast. I appreciate you guys checking those out. But let's talk about another pitcher, or another hitter. Let's talk about Joey Votto. 37 years of age, 15-year career, 282, 376, 570 slash with a 946 OPS, 26 homers, 76 RBIs. He's the first Canadian MLB player since Larry Walker to hit 300 homers and have 1,000 career runs batted in. We know, we heard it in the offseason. He was selling out for power, cutting down his walk, spiking up some his K rate that he didn't normally do in the past. But to be honest with you, I mean, this batting line, a 282 batting line with nearly 30 home runs. I mean, the guy doesn't seem like he's slowing down. Michael, what are your thoughts on Joey Votto?
He's destroying fastballs, guys. He's annihilating them. I think he has a what's it, a 95.4 mile average exit velocity against fastballs, which is like means he's like averaging a hard hit against each catch he makes against a fastball, which is kind of crazy. I think 21 of his 26 home runs have come against fastballs. So I mean, he's just out there. Don't throw Votto a fastball. Just don't do it. Throw him off speed and we're breaking whatever. But yeah, he's transitioned himself into this, this power hitter. He's always been the guy that came for power, but now he's like the guy that's just like, you want him for his power above all those,
Yeah, I mean, gosh, look, if you go to his StatCast page, you need sunglasses because there's a lot of red in there.
Yeah,
it's pretty blinding, to be honest. I mean, his barrel percentage, top 3% of the league this year. And you could even look last season. It was actually the highest it had been in the last 3 seasons. And they had talked about the last few weeks of the year that he had already started undergoing that change, which might have represented why it spiked up. And I mean, the average exit velocity, top 4% in the league, max exit velocity, top 8% in the league. I mean, the dude has a 52.7 hard hit percentage. Striking out, obviously, we talked about the strikeouts going up. He only had over a 20% strikeout rate once in his career in 2019. That's up to 24%, but that's still barely above the major league average. It's not like he's striking out 30% of the time. So I love this Joey Votto. I think obviously the value on him is not going to be as good next year, but for right now, I mean, he's looked like he's made some late season tangible changes going back to the last season. And I'm very happy with him if he stays as a first base and you can get kind of towards the end of your draft that people forget about. Doc, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, can we just talk about how great of a hitter he is? Like, it took him 13 seasons and 6,829 plate appearances to pop up to first base. Like, he is a great contact hitter, and we've seen the adjustment in his game as he has the highest launch angle, the highest barrel percentage, and the highest hard hit percentage of his career. And he plays in a hitter-friendly ballpark, too. The Reds have a very good hitting lineup. And we look at it, like you said, 281. That's not a bad batting average. I think we expected some more regression because he hit 226 last year and 261 the year before. But he's 37. You know, we started off talking about Nelson Cruz being 39 and still doing this. So who says Joey Votto can't do this for at least another couple of years? I think when you're a great hitter, you learn to adjust your game, and that's what we've seen with Votto.
Yeah, Joey Votto, I think as far as hitters go that we're going to go through, he's somebody I feel very confident in, just with the fact of the changes he's made in his profile.
And I dropped him recently in fantasy. Oh, shit.
Man.
Yeah. I was streaming hitters every day, and he was like out of the lineup, or like the Reds had an off day. I was like, all right, well, let me just like sign Miguel Cabrera, another vet, to take his spot. Miguel Cabrera had like a strikeout that game, and then Joey Votto goes on like a homer stretch. I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah, there you go. You missed out on that.
I know.
Let's talk about an aging closer, an Ian Kennedy, who's 36 years of age, 15-year career, 3.26 ERA. He's got 19 saves, and he's pitched 38.2 innings with 42 strikeouts so far this season. Somebody who actually was the best closer in the American League, you could say, arguably, before he got traded to the Phillies. Obviously had a couple rough outings early with the Phillies, but he's been, if you have him, you picked him up most likely as a free agent, or you draft him the last part of your draft, and you're reaping all the benefits of all those saves. Micah, Ian Kennedy, is this a mirage, or or is this something that you're trying to smash into next season?
You know, it's tough, man. Because I mean, he has this high spin, you know, forcing fastball that he throws like 82% of the time. So I mean, he's like this guy that he's a fastball pitcher, and he attacks you with the fastball every time. So I mean, I don't know how pitchers will respond to him next season, but I feel like for the rest of this season, you know, he'll be useful. But next season, I'm not too confident in his, you know, in this approach that he has, even if his fastball is spinning the way it is.
Do you guys remember when Ian Kennedy was a starter? Like,
he went 21-4 one year.
Yeah,
like way back.
I used to stream him in fantasy. Good times.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Ian Kennedy's profile, I mean, obviously he's getting hit pretty hard, and not exactly high strikeout. Obviously a little over a K per nine, but he's not whiffing batters at an elite rate by any means. I'm not. There's not something. I mean, like you said, Micah, the spin rate on that fastball, but he's somebody that I'm not jumping to go grab next year. I mean, his ground ball percentage this year is a putrid 28%. Fly ball percentage is 37%. So way over the major league average. It's only a matter of time, I feel like, but those fly balls catch up, especially when you look at those home run fly ball percentages.
He's doing terrible with the Phillies too. And like, he wouldn't have had many closing opportunities. Like, the Rangers aren't in contention this year. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, we'll just give it to this guy. I don't think he'd be a closer on most contending teams.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but the Phillies are as desperate usually as any
oh,
team
yeah.
for closing. I feel like you go to Philly, like, there's a joke in football, and sorry, this is the second football reference. If you're a Lions running back, if you're a running back, you go to the Lions, you don't exist anymore. Like, that's where running backs go to die. Before Stephon Diggs, if you were a receiver and you went to Buffalo, that's where your career died. If you're a closer, you go to the Phillies, that's where your career dies as a closer.
I thought you were going to go another direction with Washington quarterbacks. I'm glad you didn't.
No.
You know, even as a Phillies fan, I laughed at that one. I like that one. I couldn't laugh because it's true. I mean, that's funny.
It is really wild. But yeah, so Ian Kennedy, right, this year has a 16% home run fly ball percentage. Just looking at him a little bit, expected ERA is obviously a little bit higher, but the xFIP is a run higher. So yeah, keep an eye on Ian Kennedy. None of us are very confident with him.
Nope.
Let's talk about a hitter. I believe all right. So when I first started watching baseball, I would get, this is like obviously years ago, I would get Jed Lowry and Brett Lowry confused.
Me too.
You would too? Okay.
Yeah. I always thought Brett Lowry was the better one just because he looked cooler. I don't know.
Yes, yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
He had a cannon too.
He was kind of buff. Yeah, he's like a cool looking guy. I was like, yeah, he's right.
Is he still in the league?
No, he's been out of it for a while.
Yeah. I think he's out of the league, unfortunately.
Let's see when he last played. I'll look it up.
Because I was like, what if he's like on a AAA team or something? Just struggling. Like,
I feel like if you're a vet, you don't stay in AAA too long. You're like, all right, my My career's over. So
Did
he
you guys
retired.
see when
He retired after the 2016 season at age 26.
Oh, he retired at 26. Jeez, I didn't know that.
That's kind of sad. Wow.
Well,
Did you
I
guys
mean, I don't know,
see-
retired or whatever. I think I follow him on our Instagram account. I'll write to him and ask.
There you go.
Send him a DM. See what he says.
I put out a tweet. I was like, you're a real fantasy baseball player if you remember blank player, and someone put his name, and then they put a video which I didn't remember. It was from, I guess, like earlier in the 2010s, where it was 2 horrible strike calls to strike him out, and when he should have, and he was walking both times. He was like dropped the bat and was running to first, and I don't know if the umpire was just trying to show him up by calling those both strikes. But he literally threw his helmet at him, his batting helmet. Like he took
maybe that's why he retired.
Chucked it at the dude at the umpire, and I was like, God, how did I not remember that? The dude is a loose cannon,
man.
Yeah, he kind of looks like it.
That's a lot of Brett Lowry talk. Let's talk about Jed Lowry, who is 37 years of age, 13-year career, 261, 334, 14 slash, with a 748 OPS, 13 home runs, and 62 RBIs. The man's obviously hurt like half the time, but when he's in there, somehow always strangely just produces. So, Michael, what do you think about Jed Lowry?
So as I looked at his profile, and he has like career best quality of contact across the board. I'm like, all right, well, I guess he's joining this crowd of like these veterans that are finding power later in their careers. And I thought about it. I was like, I wonder if these veterans that came in the league in like early 2000, 2005, 2006 that didn't have the type of technology and type of machinery that can help batters become better hitters or become better power hitters, and with the launch angles going up in recent years, these are like veterans joining this kind of new era of hitting, and now they're hitting for power. So I mean, I think that's what's kind of happening with Lowry. He's kind of like just becoming like this guy that hits for power now. It's kind of interesting to see what happens, see how it happens.
Are you trusting him next season? Like, are you looking to draft him at any point in any of your fantasy drafts?
I think if he finishes the season with the quality of contact still looking as strong as it is, staying steady, I have no problem, as long as he has, a spot where he can get regular playing time. I have no problem, targeting him at the right ADP.
Okay, fair enough. I don't usually have too much of Jed Lowry, but I think at the right price is definitely acceptable there.
Mm.
He always starts out hot and then just falters off.
Well, this year he didn't have any type of hot start. Wasn't he hurt like for most of the season?
He had a middle stretch in the season where he was hot, and I spent some fab on him, and then.
All right. Well, next guy, another closer here. That's Mark Malanson, 36 years old, 13-year career. He's got a 2.15 ERA, and he saved 34 games this year. Has been the closer pickup of the year. Pitched to 50.1 innings and 45 Ks, so he's not a strikeout guy. Obviously, he's a ground ball pitcher, but him being I have to double check if he's in a contract year and only on a 1-year deal with the Padres, or if he's locked in for longer than that. So while I look that up, Michael, why don't you tell me about Mark Malanson? I'm sure his ADP is going to rise up a ton from what it was. Is this somebody you'll be interested in as a closer candidate for next year?
I'd say it depends on, as you said, the contract situation, and if he's staying with them or not, or if he's going to be on some other team next year. So it depends solely on where he's at. But in regards to his actual skills, I think wherever he goes, if he does somehow find himself in a position where he is closing for some team in MLB, I think he'll definitely do the same thing he's doing this year. He's still as you said, getting ground balls at a high rate. This guy has a lot of closer experience. Solid command of his pitches. So I mean, as long as he's in that position to be a closer, I think he'll definitely be a somewhat reliable, pretty reliable source of saves.
Is he in a contract year, David? David froze, which means I'm taking over this show. Yeah, for Mark Malanson, this is somebody that typically sometimes has a high walk percentage. You don't really like that as a closer, putting men on base. I thought his career was over a couple of years ago when he started out with the Giants in 2019, only getting 1 save. But he's, I'll be honest, I was very big on Emilio Pagan this year. I thought that he was kind of the dark horse coming out of the bullpen. I think Drew Pomeranz was a dark horse for some people as well. So it's kind of interesting that Malanson has picked up, the bulk of the saves for a team that we thought was going to get a lot of save opportunities.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see. I actually do want to pick up and see if Malanson is on a 1-year deal or not. I was like, David, it doesn't take you this long to do this. So he is on a 1-year, $3 million contract. So Micah, if he stays with the Padres, how high would you draft him? Like where would he be in your closer tiers?
He'd be in like if I made my tiers official, he'd be in like tier 3 or 4. He'd be in that area just because of that solid reliability, that experience. He'd be a guy that I'm definitely looking to draft, like, as the draft goes on. I had no problem with if I draft him as my guy to be my RP1, I'd have no problem with it.
So I think Hader's established himself as the top closer, and then maybe Liam Hendricks. I know Kimbrel is there to save. Where would you put him after that? Is he top 5 for you? Is he top 10?
I'd say somewhere around top 15, top 20-ish, somewhere around that area. That's where I'm seeing him, somewhere around top 15, that area for sure.
Okay. And the good thing about this is, and doing TGFBI, is that you can get saves in later rounds. Someone like him or Jake McGee, that's been a very valuable source. Obviously, the Haders and the Chapmans are top tier, but you can still get a source of save later. Well, let's go to Yuli Gurriel and talk about another ageless wonder. This guy has kind of come out of nowhere the past couple of years. He's hitting in a good Houston lineup. Now he is 36 or 37 years old. So, Micah, how are you feeling about him next year? Are you going to draft him?
Yep, I'll draft him because his profile is so consistent. He's a professional contact hitter, and he's one of those contact hitters that knows how to hit for power when it matters. So he's not going to be like hitting 300 with 5 home runs. He'll try to challenge 20 home runs, and he'll have solid counting stats to go along with it. Hit it in a good lineup. So he'll be higher priced than he was this season, but definitely a guy that I'm looking to target.
Yeah, and it's interesting. He didn't make his major league debut till he was 32 years old, and this is his 6th professional season. So a lot of times people think like, oh, well, if he didn't debut till 32, why isn't he, more of a consistent, force? But I look at him, and he actually has the highest walk percentage of his career. He has the lowest K percentage of his career, and he's consistent with his launch angle. It's been around about 14%. He has a 36% hard hit percentage. And, I was actually down on the Houston Astros lineup this year. I thought Altuve would get hurt a decent amount, that Yuli that Yordan Alvarez with his degenerative knees, that losing George Springer, and they've looked really good. And keep in mind that they're missing Justin Verlander. I mean, they have bounced back very well. And he's 37. Once again, I know I brought this point up earlier, but when we're talking about Nelson Cruz that's 39 and still putting up great stats,
right, I
think that somebody going into their age 38 season, you've seen other people do it. So there's not as much hesitancy. I'm very big on Yuli Gurriel as well. Yeah. There was a stretch where he was third base eligible, right? Or am I crazy?
Yeah. If you would have asked me right now if he was third base eligible, I would have told you yes. So I feel like I feel like there's definitely a time where he was.
Man, there's the players that are the multi-position eligibility. There is just a special place. And as David mentioned, his internet has gone out, but he's hitting over 300 this year.
Yes.
He is the highest on-base percentage of the year of his career by far, 379 compared to 343. The slugging percentage is down a little bit, but once again, the most of his metrics look pretty good. Go Astros. No, Toby, we don't support.
No, I was actually about to do a little fist bump just to support him, but no, go ahead. No Astros, boo.
Yeah, no Astros. We root for them to lose the rest of their game so I can hit my bet. But we are going to finish out with 2 more players. We got a hitter and a pitcher, and we got the Ginger, the Red Rocket, the ageless wonder of the NL West. We're talking about Mr. Justin Turner. Micah, what are your thoughts with him going into the 2022 season?
Stud. As long as he stays healthy, man. That's been the only thing. And you look at his profile, everything is so consistent with past seasons. You're like, this guy is just doing what he's been doing his entire career. So I mean, yeah, as long as he's healthy, man, I'll definitely be targeting him in my draft for sure.
Yeah, and what's interesting is he is we kind of have a joke here in Baltimore when players leave, especially pitchers. The Kevin Gausmans, the Jake Arrietas, even the Josh Haders. You leave even Dylan Bundy last year. You leave Baltimore and you're suddenly a new player. And I mean, Justin Turner, This is a guy that's hit at least 290 his last 5 seasons. He's hit 300 3 out of those 5+ years, 20 homers 3 out of those 5 seasons. Now, obviously, with the pandemic, I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head. The main question with him is the durability and availability. Yeah. Played 42 out of 60 games last year, so less than 75%. Played 103 in 2018. I'm kind of interested to see because, they have Trey Turner locked up for the long run. They have Corey Seager. I don't want to say they've given up on Gavin Lux yet. Cody Bellinger is going to have a spot in the infield as well. Micah, are you worried that he's not going to be an everyday player moving forward and that he might, be platooning or maybe 3 out of 4 days to preserve his longevity?
I think as long as he's in the league, he'll definitely have, regular opportunities. I think wherever he's playing, if it's with the Dodgers or another team, he'll have, a path to regular ABs. I just think he's too good, too special of a hitter, to keep out of the lineup,
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. He was the World Series MVP last year, right?
Was he? That would make sense. I would. Yeah.
We got a question from Toby. Is Max Muncy Justin Turner from the left side with a little bit better power tool? And we say that as we welcome in David. Oh, well, David's gone. So, Mr. Fantasy Central 1, I'm going to divert this question to you.
Justin Turner on the left side with a little better power tool. Different plate discipline approaches for sure. But I see where it's coming from. I see where they're coming from. Yeah. I see where it's coming from.
Max Muncy strikes out at a pretty high rate. I know his K rate is lower this year than years past. Justin Turner has been a pretty good contact hitter. And as we say that, we welcome in David. Welcome back, buddy.
Oh man. Internet was a problem just now.
Hey, it's all good. We carried the show. We talked some Yuli Gurriel. We finished some Mark Malanson. Now we're finishing Justin Turner, and we're going to go to the final guy. It's Mr. Charlie Morton. So, David, take it away. David's internet is back out.
It's going in and out. It's going in and out. I will speak Charlie Morton, 37 years of age, 14-year career, 11-4, 3.49 ERA. And he's actually pitched 134 innings with 155 strikeouts. So healthy strikeouts with the innings pitch he's done this year. He was going to retire as recently as last year, and he's coming back. He just keeps coming back.
And that means where David's internet goes out again. So Charlie Morton pitching with the Braves. He had a rough start to the year. This is his first time being in the NL since the 2016 season. And he's had a very, very good stretch recently. The Braves have kind of been resurgent. I think a lot of people wrote off their season after losing Ronald Acuna. They made some very savvy trades, getting Jorge Soler, Eddie Rosario when he comes off the IL. So, Micah, what are your thoughts about Charlie Morton going into 2022?
Man, I don't know if he's going to be in the league, man, to be honest.
You really think so?
Yeah, he was talking about retiring. What was it, this past offseason? I think if the Braves don't really do much in the playoffs, if they get to playoffs and say they go out in the first series, first round, I think he might consider retiring again. They might, those rumors might come back to the surface and it might actually come into fruition. So I think, I'm not really. If he does come back, I think he's definitely a guy I'm targeting as SP3, SP2. But I don't know if he's coming back. We'll see what happens.
So here's why I do think he comes back, even if the Braves don't win it all. He got a 1-year, $15 million contract.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. We just can't see you, David. That's a good amount of money to make for a 1-year deal, and especially the way that he's pitching. Like a lot of people, and Charlie Morton isn't someone that's made hundreds of millions of dollars. Like I think if you can still get a bag, if he can sign a 1-year $12 million or a 2-year $20 and pitch until he's 38, 39 years old, I think he's going to do that. I'm actually very high on him. Now, if you guys remember, he had a right shoulder strain last year with the Rays, and he wasn't nearly as effective, and he actually spent some time on the IL. And I think that showed in April because 4 out of his first 7 outings, he had 4+ earned runs, but he went 5 innings plus in 6 out of those 7 outings. So for me, that was really encouraging that he wasn't set back by that shoulder strain, which we've seen a lot of people that from the shortened season and ramping up their bodies have had more serious injuries and haven't bounced back. Right. Now, he kind of hit the rock bottom against the Phillies this season in his 7th start when he went .2 and had 6 earned runs. But after that, he's had 17 outings. He's gone 5 innings plus in at least 15 of them. He's had 4 runs, or he's had less than 4 runs in 15 out of those 17 as well. He has a good K percentage. He's allowing less than a home run per 9. So as we talk about with older pitchers, the location is good. He's throwing strikes, and he's facing the NL pitchers. Like I think that's something that you can't overstate. When 1 out of every 9 hitters you get to face is a pitcher that doesn't want to go up there and hit. And he could be what Adam Wainwright is. So, David, what are your thoughts on Charlie Morton?
Oh, I get to sit in the analysis chair? What is this?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm doing the question in the game of the week after, so I might as well just take over.
Yeah, no, I mean, Charlie Morton, as long as he's going to pitch, I'm going to draft him.
You were out on him this year. Don't cover up.
No, I'm saying I mean, it comes at a price. Like I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, I'm going to overdraft him, but it's not somebody I'm not drafting. He's somebody that, again, at the right price, I'm always going to take because he's shown you ever since he made the changes, since he came from Pittsburgh, that he's made the changes necessary to become a better pitcher. And he's somebody that, again, has showed that he's durable for the most part. He's been consistent, and he's been somebody that I would roster as a 4th or 5th starter on most teams. So, again, I'm not going to jump over the moon and the stars to go draft him, but that consistency, again, 155 strikeouts and 134 innings is no joke at 37 years of age. We already talked about Adam Wainwright, who's 2 years older and has under a strikeout per 9. So he'll play, and I'll take Charlie Morton.
So let me ask you guys, because he's on a 1-year deal with Atlanta right now. If he signs with an AL team, are you dropping him down your rankings a little bit?
No. I mean, he was doing this thing with the Rays. I feel like as long as it's not like, I don't know. I mean, as long as he's playing, I think he'll be a guy that I'll definitely be targeting.
As long as he doesn't go to the Angels where starting pitchers go to die.
True. Yeah. David, you weren't there when we talked about the Orioles, how pitchers, especially when they leave Baltimore, are good. And I was like, Justin Turner, like as soon as he left the O's, he's a stud. You know, the Haters, the Arrietas, the Gosmans, all of them. But I don't know about you guys talking about these wily vets and these 9 MLB players that are older than me. And let's face it, we're older than a lot of them now. Makes me feel kind of young. What about you guys?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I should feel young.
Yeah, Mike, aren't you just graduating college?
No, I graduated high school, bro. I'm like 18. Come on now. I'm a young guy.
Are you really 18?
No. I'm officially I'm 23. I'm 23, but I'll be graduating college hopefully in like 3 semesters, man. But we'll see.
All right, so you are young in the industry. All right, now we're gonna end this segment because I feel old talking to you, and David probably feels like a grandpa. But good discussion, and we'll have to revisit this. We'll see if any of these answers are for our question of the week. The fun part of the show, we are sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight, an affiliate sponsor of Triple Play. Make sure you use code Triple Play to get David a matchup of 50% of your deposit. Brad and I are going to be starting the DFS shows again. I promise you, we're going to give you some bagels and locks. There you go. A nice little pun. But our question...
If you have to say it, you ruin it. So that's on you.
Okay. All right. Well, our question of the week, outside of Albert Pujols, which player do you see retiring in 2021? Micah, you're the guest. I'm going to start with you. Who's hanging it up after this season?
Man, I hate to say the first player that comes to mind because you already talked about it so much. Because you just talked about him, but Charlie Morton. I think he's gonna consider it again. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but if a guy is considering it season before, then has plays the entire season, I think it's gonna have to come up back in his mind again. So I think it's definitely possible that he could be the guy that doesn't come back.
All right, so bonus points. How does he announce his retirement? Is it via social media? His agent releasing a message, a press conference?
I think he's gonna get one of those blips put in the air, just say I'm retiring. Charlie Morton's retiring, and then we'll know. Well, no, I think I don't know. I'll tweet it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
David, who's your pick?
That was mine too. Charlie Morton literally said he was retiring after the season was over. What was it? The year with the Rays. So here he has announced once that he was planning on retiring, which makes me think if the Braves go on a run and they don't win it this year, he's going to retire after this year and be done. So I think he's going to do it over an Instagram post, but that's what everybody wants to say is an Instagram post.
Okay.
So Charlie Morton Instagram post, Lock it in. Put the money on that.
All right. Does Charlie Morton have Instagram? That's going to be our next thing that we look at. Now, for me, I have two, and I think they're both pretty much. One is definitely a lock, and my first is Ryan Zimmerman, because the Nats won the 2019 World Series. He opted out of the 2020 season due to the pandemic, and I think he wanted to play one more season. And the Nationals are in a full rebuild now. Outside of Juan Soto, they don't really have any promising players. He's won a ring there. He's has probably all the records in the books. I don't see really a need for him there anymore since they're not competitive. And this is going to be one out of left field. It's Clayton Kershaw.
No.
The injuries are starting to mount up for him. The camel is off his back, or the elephant's off his back, because he's won a World Series ring. I mean, I want to check for how many innings he's pitched this year, but I feel like it has to be one of the lowest of his career. And you actually had an article that came out before last season, because they were saying, like, hey, you've had this really great run. You're not as dominant anymore. And he basically said, like, I'm not letting whether I win a World Series or not define me. So if he doesn't pitch another game this year, this will be the lowest amount of innings pitched that he's done in a full season since his rookie year in 2008. So I don't know. I just think the tea leaves are lining up for Clayton Kershaw to call it a career. He's 33. Will be 34 when the season starts. So
I feel like it's too soon. I'd be so sad. That'd be so sad, man. I don't know.
I mean, look, he's not the pitcher that he was anymore. I mean, he has a 3.9 ERA. He's not going to be a pitcher that's in the twos, but I mean, that's the unfortunate thing about sports and how many innings he's thrown over the years. It just adds up. Yeah, and a lot of his injuries have been rotator cuff, shoulder, arms. It's not like he's having sprained ankles or things along that nature. I hope I'm wrong. It's just kind of what my gut said, but good discussion. We'll be interested to see at this point next year if we're right or not. We're going to go to the game of the week, hosted by myself. And what this game is going to be is I have, for each team, the last player that ranked in the top 5 in MVP voting, and the last that ranked in the top 5 in Cy Young. So, for example, let's say I said, all right, who is the last Cleveland Guardians pitcher to place top 5 in Cy Young voting? You go, Shane Bieber. So what I'm going to do, because I have every team on here, it's going to be the first to 5. So if I say, last Cleveland pitcher, you buzz in with your name, you get a guess. If you get it right, you get a point. If not, the other person gets a chance to guess. Pretty easy, right?
Sounds good.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think
all right. So the last Texas Rangers player to rank top 5 in MVP voting.
Do we just call our name out, or
call your name in?
David.
Okay.
Mark Teixeira.
Nope. Micah.
I'm gonna have to say Adrian Beltre.
Adrian Beltre is right. 2012 season.
There we go.
All right. The next one. The last Baltimore Orioles pitcher to rank top 5 in Cy Young voting.
Eduardo Jimenez.
David.
Incorrect. David.
Eric Bedard.
Incorrect. It is Zach Britton.
What the? I forgot about that.
You guys each only get one guess in 2016.
Yeah, you're right.
2016. Wow. All right. The last Seattle Mariners player to finish top 5 in MVP voting.
David. Ichiro.
Incorrect. Micah.
I don't know, man. Ken Griffey.
Incorrect. You guys want another guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess.
Micah, you don't have to wait for David, by the way.
Okay. I don't know.
Oh wait, Felix Hernandez.
Incorrect.
That's what I would have said. That's exactly what I would have said. Man.
Micah gets one more guess, and if he gets it wrong, we're gonna go to the next.
I don't know.
Robinson Cano in 2014.
Bro,
gosh, maybe we'll go down to whoever gets 4 first. This is embarrassing.
No, we'll be good. We'll be good.
All right. The last Chicago White Sox pitcher to place top 5 in Cy Young voting?
Well, that should be Lucas Giolito. I'm gonna assume.
Incorrect.
Interesting.
That'd be too obvious for Eric's answers. I'm gonna say.
Oh, true.
I'm gonna say it's Mark Burley.
Incorrect. Do you guys want one more guess?
Yeah.
Do you want a hint?
Yeah, give us a hint.
Yeah,
He was number 5 last year.
All right. Jeez, because who was? Who was good last year?
Oh my God.
Who was good last year?
Lance Lynn.
Incorrect. He was with Texas last year.
Oh yeah.
True. He was Texas. Dang. I don't know. Ooh.
Guys can't remember 1 year ago. This is embarrassing
I know
for the 3 people.
No, I am embarrassed. No, I am embarrassed. No,
Mike,
I do feel.
Are you timing out?
Mike, I'm gonna give it to you. It's
I'm drawing up.
It's Liam Hendricks.
It is not. It is not. So another X on this one. It's Dallas Keuchel. Dallas Keuchel finished 5th in Cy Young voting last year.
He's not that good of a pitcher, so I didn't think of him. That's the problem.
All right. Well, I'm trying to give you guys hard ones instead of the easy ones.
Oh man.
All right.
The easier ones.
All right. Yeah, I'll do it to get a little bit more of your confidence back up. The last Toronto Blue Jay player to finish top 5 in MVP voting. Gosh, this is an easier one.
David. Josh Donaldson.
Josh Donaldson is correct.
Nice.
2016. Nice. It's 1-1. How about we do first to 3?
That sounds
good.
All right. I'll give you guys a little bit more harder ones then. The last Braves pitcher to finish in the top 5 of Cy Young voting.
David.
Is
it Mike Soroka?
Incorrect. Micah.
Man, this is bad. Shoot.
Art, you're gonna have a lot of editing to do.
I don't know.
Speaking of Joey Votto, he had another home run tonight.
Oh,
really? That's 27. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. How am I drawing a blank? I'm trying to think of the Braves rotations of the past. I just can't think of them. I don't know.
David.
Drawing a blank.
All right, David.
Craig Kimbrell.
Incorrect. It's Max Fried, who placed 5th in 2020 in Cy Young voting.
I wouldn't have guessed it.
All right. Still 1-1. The last Colorado Rockies pitcher to place top 5 in Cy Young voting.
Micah. That has to be Hermana Marquez.
Incorrect.
Wow.
David.
No.
David.
Ubaldo Jimenez.
Incorrect.
Oh, that's what
I'll give you guys a hint. It's from 2018.
David. John Gray.
Incorrect, even though I do love John Gray.
Man, these are some good guesses. I thought the last 2 were gonna be 2018.
Colorado.
2018.
Colorado.
Oh, was it? No.
Yes.
I don't know if he was good that year. Was it? Nah, it's only it was Kyle Freeland.
It is Kyle Freeland.
Oh wow! Look at that. Look at that. Wow.
Yep, that was Kyle Freeland's breakout year. That was a year. Yep. Wow. So Micah's got 2, David's got 1. Micah gets 1 more. The game is over. The last Detroit Tigers hitter to go top 5 in the MVP, and I'll give you a hint. It's not Miguel Cabrera, so you can save your guess.
Top 5 Tigers.
I'm gonna guess, since we have Placido Polanco on tomorrow's Placido Polanco.
Oh
no, he never finished top 5. His good year, he was 17th in MVP voting.
How long was Prince Fielder at Tigers? Is it him?
It is not Prince Fielder. You guys want a hint?
Yeah.
It's from 2014.
Oh man, that's the year that I started playing fantasy.
Maglio Ordonez.
Incorrect, Mikey. You got 1 more guess. Otherwise, we're going to go to the next one.
Yeah, I'm out. I don't know.
It is Victor Martinez.
Oh.
Yeah, he finished second that.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
He finished second that year. All right. The last Arizona Diamondback to finish top 5 in the NL MVP voting.
Paul Goldschmidt.
Incorrect.
What?
That's what I'm guessing.
I'm using both my guesses. AJ Pollock.
Incorrect. Micah, you got 2 guesses.
Zach Gallen?
Incorrect.
Yeah, there's no way he did that.
It's a good thing we're not going to 5 for this.
This is gonna be the last one. we gotta wrap it up.
Well, if it's the last one, then you lost, David.
I know, but we'll see if Micah gets it.
Drawing a blank again. Nope.
Ketel Marte in 2019.
Bro, I thought that was way too obvious. I thought that was way too obvious.
You never know with me sometimes. But since David is waving the white flag because he realized he's very bad at this game, Micah's the winner! I wish I had my soundboard. Yay! Woo!
Yeah, good job, Micah. That was
These guys.
a good performance. Bad performance from both of us, but you had the better bad performances. Thanks so much for coming on the show tonight, man. We really appreciate you coming on.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me on. This was fun.
And Micah, because David's mic is being a little bit bad right now, do you want to tell them where you can find where on social media, any projects, anything that you're working on?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at FantasyCentral1. I write for newlandfantasy.com, rotoranks.com, NBC Sports Edge, and the Fantrax. And I have a football podcast that's starting tomorrow. That's gonna be streaming live on my Twitter at FantasyCentral1. Should be every week. It should be every Friday every week. So definitely look out for that.
And Micah, I just want to know how many hours of sleep do you get a night?
I missed so much stuff. I forgot about Mike and those guys. Definitely continue to check out Mike and those, please. I appreciate all the support. All the all the support that Mike and those has received this season is greatly appreciated. And yeah, continue to check those out.
I gotta say I do love the Micah notes, and congrats on getting verified. I think that was well deserved. And those Micah notes, you touch on some guys that I think in the fantasy baseball community we really want to know more about. The Tyler McGills. Yeah. The people that kind of fly under the radar. For those that are listening live, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. We have a great doubleheader. We have Placido Polanco coming on at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we have Danny Woodhead coming on at 9. And if you're listening to the podcast version, these are going to be out in a couple weeks. So make sure you listen. We got a couple great interviews coming up. We're talking with some more guests coming. We will be back next week with another great episode. So make sure you tune in, enjoy the last 5 weeks of baseball. And to steal David's line, we're going to make like a bread truck and haul these buns. Catch you next week.
See you guys.